So Nigel Farage has said that they should be ready for an early election. So I just thought it'd be an interesting jump-off point to talk about whether there will be an early election or not. I mean, so things are going very, very poorly for the current government, the Labour Party, very poorly. Starmer and the entire government's approval rating is terribly, terribly low. They're doing pretty bad, well, very, very bad for a government in the actual polls projecting what will happen at the next general election. So I wonder what your thoughts and feelings are, whether you think there really will be an early one. Of course, we've just come out of Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, having to resign in disgrace. What's your thoughts and feelings on it?
Well, I think it's an interesting thing it's interesting as a thought experiment, isn't it? Because there's a few angles to take on this. So in terms of Nigel will be the next Prime Minister. Right? That's kind of all but confirmed, I think.
It's quite possible.
So is it a case of the establishment, much in the way that the Conservatives called that early election and just handed the keys over to Labour, which they knew was going to happen? Is this a similar thing that we're seeing, right? And there's a few things that I want to talk about with this, and I can get your thoughts on. Are we seeing the establishment realizing that, we've lost everyone with Labour? So the blob, the sort of the deep state, as it were, the establishment, going, we've lost people with Labour here. Let's try and just begin to shuffle Nigel in over here, and let's maneuver it so we can and then we'll tell Keir Starmer to pull the rug from out underneath himself. That might be the case. I don't think that is, by the way. I don't think that is the case, because I don't think, as much as Sir Keir Starmer is part of the establishment, I think he is too much of an ideologue to give it up. I think he's probably going to be in it till the very end. But what we've also got is kind of like the perfect storm. So there's no money, right? There's just no money left. And we're a couple months out now. So September, October, November, we're going to be getting the autumn budget, which is pretty late, I think, for an autumn. It feels pretty late for an autumn budget anyway. From Rachel Thieves, Rachel from accounts, Rachel from customer services. And they're going to raise taxes. Like they're just going to raise taxes, but there is no money, and people are really resenting paying the money that they're paying now anyway. And the mood of the nation is so bad. It's so bad right now. For those that are watching from the States, you have no idea. The mood on the ground in the UK, everywhere, it's tangible. You can cut it with a knife. It's atmospheric. It's thick. It's heavy. It's on everyone. There's this doom and gloom around everyone. And I don't think that's dramatizing. I think people really are feeling it right now. And if they raise taxes again, which they are going to, will that force them to call a general election? Will there be anything in that will force them to? Will it sort of be a Liz Truss effect? Will everything sort of just collapse on themselves, economically speaking, and then they'll have to? Or will we get forced out? I don't know. I personally don't think Keir Starmer's approval is not going to go up. It's only going to go down because the reshuffle's terrible. Like actual morons in charge now, and also just fifth columnist filth. So it's only going to go down. It's not going to go up. Everything, the trajectory is down. It's Labour have truly, sped run. The sort of Blairite project now. They've just fully gone, we're going to do it as quickly as humanly possible. And obviously everyone's gone, oh, yeah, this isn't good. We're not liking this very much, because obviously it's more apparent now than, it ever was. So I can't see an election being called, because I think Keir Starmer's an ideologue, and ideologues are dangerous, and they don't relinquish power easily. But, Nigel... I don't know. I'd love there to be an early election, mainly because Nigel can get in, and then we can just get him out of the way. Because he'll fail, and I keep saying this on Twitter. He'll fail. He'll fail. Everyone will realise that he's not doing anything. He'll make the same nonsense promises that the Tories did. I mean, did you see they've just let in Nadine Dorries?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are they are the Tories. I mean, she was the
Yeah.
architect of the Online Safety Act, for
Yeah.
God's sake.
Yeah.
Little Boris's bum girl. Ridiculous. Absolutely
100%.
ridiculous. So anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of ramblings, but hopefully you can sort of glean
Yeah. No.
something from that.
100%. Yeah. It's just a refuge for Tories to go to now. The Reform UK Party. That's what that is. It's Tory 2.0. And so, in other words, another way of saying, not actually what's needed, not good enough. Yeah. So anyway, we've said that many times here, but yeah, I don't really understand why Nigel and others, it's not just Nigel, but other in the chattering classes, talking about an early election, that there must be an early election in all sorts of ways. Like there's a new scandal or a new bit of bad news in the news cycle for the Labour government or for Keir Starmer. Oh, let's talk about an early election. No. I completely agree with you. It's been my take all along. Every time this comes up, I say exactly the same thing. I don't think, and I may be proven wrong, events may prove me wrong, but I don't think Keir Starmer will call an early election for love nor money. I think he's, in fact, you put it very well, calling him sort of an ideologue. No, he's that type of, it's a type of leftist, well, let's be fair, a Fabian socialist, proto-communist, really, politician who would not really ever dream of calling an early election. No, I've got power. And the last thing you do is relinquish that unnecessarily. That's the absolute last thing you do. You never ever give up in the mind of that style of politician, i.e., shameless, absolutely shameless. Is you never give up on power. You only relinquish power when power has relinquished you, if you like. You never give up on the game until the game gives up on you. You'll never call an election early. No. You'll never resign because there's a bit of pressure. No. The whole world view. These people, even someone like Keir Starmer, even someone like Tony Blair or Gordon Brown, they're all LARPing as a Mao or a Stalin or a Tito. They're all playing out their fantasy of being a hardline socialist ruler, a strongman socialist ruler. And those people will never give up power if they don't have to. Never. So, yeah, every time I see talk of an early election, and again, I might be wrong. This might age really badly. But I don't think that will happen. I think Keir Starmer, because he can have a hard line on things, he can dig his heels in, he can be politically fairly brutal when he wants to be. And for me, I can only assume that the giving up power early will be one of those things. In fact, it's probably the bedrock, it's probably the foundation of his political thinking. No. Never call an early election. What nonsense. Why would he? But again, who knows? Who knows? If the situation in the country gets so out of control, who knows? I mean, that's one of the things you said about the feeling in the country on the ground in real life. It's sort of palpable. You can sort of cut it with a knife. Just building on that, the thing that sprung to mind when you're saying that, of course, completely agree with you. It's sort of undeniable, isn't it, in real life? I saw on LBC recently Andrew Marr doing a little bit to camera, saying the exact opposite, saying, look, come on. The reality on the ground is that everyone just gets along, don't they? Everyone just sort of smiles at each other, don't they? And we're all sort of mucking in together, and there isn't really any real problem. That really is like a far right fantasist, like nonsense. Meant like it's just not real. It's all lies, whipped up by social media, crazy far right social media people. It's like, no, Andrew Marr. One, I don't know where you live, so maybe you live in some extremely homogenous, white, leafy, super rich suburb somewhere, and that does sort of seem to be the case. Maybe that. Secondly, maybe you're confusing the mask of civility that a lot of people are wearing. Maybe you're confusing that for normality. God knows what. But no, that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. There is something in the air, right, on the streets. And whether that will, in the end, lead to Sir Queer calling an early election, who knows? I suspect not.
What do you think about the economic state of affairs? Do you think that could push things? Because I mean,
Very much
the
so, yes.
budget is going to be crippling, right? So what do you think to that?
Well, if we, the budget itself from number 11 is one thing, but if there is a full-blown sort of financial collapse, something like the Wall Street crash, or something like the credit crunch of 07, 08, or perhaps even worse than either of those things. If there was some sort of full-blown financial collapse or depression, where it's not that people are a bit poorer, it's not that some people might have to go to a food bank, it's that people are actually starving, that their children are actually starving, that unemployment goes completely through the roof, or some other catastrophe where there's a breakdown in the chain of supply, where there's no food. You go to your supermarket or your local grocer, wherever you buy food, and there isn't any. Right, something like that, a true sort of systems collapse, something like that happens, which could happen. Then we'll see, God forbid, I hope that doesn't happen. I'm not an accelerationist. I want my country and my nation and the fabric of my society to be damaged as little as possible. I don't agree with accelerationism. But yeah, and I don't agree with doomerism. I've been very vocal about doomerism, but you can still talk about reality, though, can't you? We can still talk about what might happen in the future, which is negative. If something like that happened, then yeah, God knows. I mean, who knows? Anything could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think the financial element is really important, because when you hit people super hard with taxes, currently there's 24 million people on benefits in the UK. There's about 30 to 35 million people paying for everyone else's benefits. Like, people are getting really pissed off about this, especially when people can just come to the country and claim stuff. Yes, I know it's X, Y, and Z time, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. It doesn't matter. There are still 35 million people paying for everyone else. People are going to end up just leaving, which we are seeing. And then the state itself actually puts itself in an untenable situation at that point in time. Like, that's failed state territory.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the Starmer government with Rachel Thieves is as you say, sort of speed running us off the cliff. They're sort of steaming the Titanic as fast as possible into the iceberg, aren't they? What a remarkable time to live in. I just hope we don't end up in a sort of a systems collapse thing, a full implosion of the economy, and people starving, children starving and stuff. I just hope it doesn't get that bad.